Hello kiddies, welcome to another Tech Spurt Weekly. Your Uncle Spurt, not gonna lie, wee bit tired today. You can blame our great mate Samsung for my bleary-eyed, haggard complexion and my inability to say sentences that make sense. And yes, I realise that is my normal state, but it's been dialed up to f***ing 10 today, let me tell you. Now, unless you've been living in a cave 50 feet underwater with your fingers stuck in your ears going la 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 la, you'll know that Samsung launched a shagload of shiny new things at its Unpacked event this week. Since then, I've been positively shitting out videos on the freshly revealed tech, surviving mostly on caffeine, whiskey, and the remnants of old Hot Pockets scraped out of the back of the freezer. It's the diet sensation of 2023 that critics are hailing as f***ing disgusting. Now, Samsung's new bendy phones have enjoyed a healthy bit of coverage. The Z Flip 5 in particular has been subject to a bukkake fountain of adoration from YouTubers, myself included. But meanwhile, the new Galaxy Watch 6 models and the Tab S9 tablets are kind of stuck in the background, desperately trying to get your attention, like drunk idiots lurking around behind the news anchor person at any sporting event. So this episode of Tech Spurt Weekly is dedicated to those unsung heroes. Let's crack on before I faceplant this f***ing desk. Jingle me! Tech Spurt Weekly! So let's start with those watches which Samsung insists are designed to help users build healthier habits every day and all through the night. Personally speaking, I'm not really sure how you can improve on my resume of consistent boozing and persistent self-abuse. It's what's kept me sane all these decades. I suppose maybe you could chuck the occasional squat thrust in there just to help keep limber. There are two different Galaxy Watch 6 models to choose between. You've got the standard one, which starts from 289 quid, and also the Classic is back this year, costing from £369. There's no Pro model this year, which would just overly complicate matters and also mean I'd have one more f***ing unboxing to do. The regular Watch 6 has a simple smartwatch style design with armour aluminium casing, while the Watch 6 Classic looks like more of an actual watch with an upgraded stainless steel body plus a snazzy metal bezel. And hip hip bloody hooray, that bezel actually rotates to skim through menus, just like on the Watch 4 Classic. And the Watch 6s come in a selection of sizes. You got 40 or 44mm for the standard one, while the Classic is a fair bit bigger at either 43 or a massive 47mm. So if you happen to have the wrists of a toddler, like my good self, you might be more swayed by the regular Galaxy Watch 6 rather than the Classic. Samsung is offering a variety of straps as always, and thank God Samsung has improved the catch mechanism to make it easier to get the buggers off and swap them about. It's pretty handy if your eyesight is crap and your fingernails have been bitten to the krull and your hands just won't stop shaking because of all of that breakfast vodka. The screen is a Brighton Poppy Super AMOLED, either 1.3 inches or 1.5 inches in size, depending on your choice. And this is protected with sapphire glass on both models, so it's tougher than a British Airways bread roll. Both watches are water resistant, they can withstand up to 5 atmospheres of pressure, and they've also passed some military standard testing to prove that they're double hard bastards. And for the Galaxy Watch 6 series, Samsung has also spaffed out some fresh new watch faces. Nothing to write home about, just the usual slightly mental fare that makes me wonder how many sackfuls of Class A's the designers got through. No surprises on the software side, it's Google's Wear OS 4 with Samsung's own One UI for watches smushed lovingly on top. So yeah, you've got all of Samsung's services on there, the likes of Samsung Wallet and of course mother-loving Bigsby, in case you fancy having a massive argument with your wrist out in public. And you've got the full Play Store support as usual, so you can download lots of other watchy apps. And everything seems to run beautifully on both the Galaxy Watch 6 and the Watch 6 Classic, thanks to the nippy new Exynos W930 chipset. Yes, it's an Exynos, but no, it doesn't seem to suck ass cheese. Apparently the clock speed has been boosted by 18% compared with the previous generation, and you've also now got an extra half a gig of RAM stuffed in there, 2 full gigabytes no less. And with all of these models, you've got a choice of either having it connect to your phone in order to access the internet, otherwise you've got an LTE option if you've got even more cash to hoy at Samsung, as well as a mobile provider for a bit of SIM action. All of the usual health tracking shenanigans are again on board. Your body composition, the electrocardiogram, blood pressure, yada yada. And when you're exercising, the Galaxy Watch 6 and the 6 Classic can personalize your heart rate zones to make sure that they fit your body type, your age, etc. Make sure you're not pushing your old ticker so hard that you're about to collapse in a wheezing heap, flapping around in a puddle full of your own bodily excretions. And you can also now create custom workouts by mashing up a variety of exercises if you tend to cram more than one into a single session. You absolute mentalist. And Samsung is really pushing those sleep tracking shenanigans once again if you happen to do sleeping, unlike your Uncle Spurt here. So you can be judged not only on your lack of activity all day long, but also on how crap you are at doing this most basic and essential of human abilities at night. Apparently the Watch 6 and the Watch 6 Classic can even record you snoring, if that's some kind of weird fetish thing you've got going on. And once again, of course, once they've been monitoring you for a while, these watches can dispense valuable advice on how to get better sleep. Otherwise, this will almost certainly involve drinking less booze and generally being less of a bellend to your own body. It can f***ing do one. Oh, and there's even a new special super soft sleep strap for both Galaxy watches. And I guess that's good for helping you to get a good bit of kip, but if like me you happen to thrash around a lot in your sleep, well at some point your bed partner is still likely to get a big fat metal lump right in the mush, which is less than ideal. Oh, and both watches also now support fall detection, which is great news if you've had a skinful and you misjudge the position of the sofa. And finally, the smaller size of both the Galaxy Watch 6 and the Watch 6 Classic support a 300 mAh capacity battery, while the larger size boosts that to 425. So that's a small upgrade compared with the previous generation, although the Watch 5 Pro is still absolutely hands down the winner with its almighty 590 mAh battery. That thing can just about keep going for 3 full days, whereas if you get the bigger Watch 6 or Watch 6 Classic, you might just about scrape 2 full days of use if you don't go nuts at all. And the regular model, you're going to be charging it every night basically. Next up, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, or should I say the S9, the S9 Plus and the S9 Ultra, because of course they released multiple variants. That Plus is bigger and more expensive than the bog standard model, while the Ultra is exactly what it sounds like. An almost 15-inch mega bastard that'll drain your savings faster than a wild weekend at a classy brothel. So I've been told. The Ultra in particular stands out not just because it's chuffing enormous, but because those bezels are so skinny that you actually have a notch to house the front-facing cameras. They're all built from Samsung's Armour aluminium with a highly thrilling colour choice of graphite or beige. Be still my beating heart. And all three of Sammy's new tablets are IP68 water and dust resistant in case you fancy doom scrolling in the rain or TikToking in the shower or web browsing in the wet and wild. The display is a dynamic AMOLED 2X on all three, same as Samsung's foldable phones, with HDR10 Plus support and 120Hz refresh. You've got a quad speaker setup tuned by AKG, with some Dolby Atmos action chucked in there, and both the visuals and that audio are fantastic for such skinny slabs. The Galaxy Tab S9 series support all of the split screen shenanigans that the Galaxy Z Fold 5 does, so you can multitask with up to 3 apps at once, plus floating windows as well if you want to go really f***ing crazy. You know, drag and drop, copying between all of the apps. And there's also actually DeX mode support as well if you want to turn your tablet into a makeshift mini computer. As for the optics, well, all three Tab S9 tablets serve up a 12 megapixel wide angle front facing camera, although the Ultra model actually has 2 lenses slotted into that notch. And one of Samsung's handy S Pen styluses has been bunged in the box as well as the tablet, so you can use that to get all scribbly when you fancy it. And when you're done, sadly there's no orifice to stick it into, but you can just slap it on the back. There's a magnetic connection. That's also how the S Pen stylus charges. And again, like those bendy phones, Samsung's new Galaxy S9 tablets are powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset. The choice of either Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi and LTE connectivity, again if you bung a bit more cash Samsung's way. And that battery size increases as you upgrade, but all three should be able to survive a pretty full day of video streaming, multitasking, hardcore pornography, etc. And while I don't have any of Samsung's Galaxy Tab S9s to take away, sadly, hopefully I'll be able to get one in, at least one in, hopefully just the one in. I don't think I can stretch to 3, and bring you a full review soon. And that right there is the rest of Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked action that I haven't yet managed to cover here on the channel. That's everything, the whole bally lot done. So now it's time for the part of the show that's responsible for more sprained wrists than a Baywatch calendar. In this case, because people are furiously mashing their keyboards rather than the contents of their pants. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. And this week we'll be starting with Dermot Smith. You eat Dermot, hope all is well, sir. It says, the fact that you have nearly 1 million subscribers, with most of them not in immediate need of a new phone, is a massive achievement. Well done, sir. I'd like to start on a positive one, definitely, and thank you very much, sir. I put it down to some kind of inexplicable mass insanity. YouTube official says, I don't get the foot fetish either. There you go, even YouTube is like, WTF, yo. Assuming, of course, that this is indeed the official YouTube account, which I will. Ding 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 says, NGL, not gonna lie, I know that one, down with the kids, etc. NGL, I'll look at Uncle Spurt's feet. Maybe I should look into setting up that OnlyFans account. Hunbella says, next week it's also Sony's time to shine. The WF-1000X-M5 is upon us. What's your opinion? Well, good news, yes indeed, they launched on Monday it was. Bloody hell, it feels like about 5 years ago now. Yeah, my full review is live right now on TechSpurt. Can't be asked to watch that. Well, understandable. The TLDR version is, they're very, 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 very bloody good. Incremental upgrade on last generation, but the ANC is still like best in class. Can cope with anything apart from the super screechy f***ing Northern line. Absolutely hate that thing. Strong audio quality, crazy good battery life as well, but they will absolutely skinch you unless you're loaded, in which case I would highly recommend the likes of the sound cores, which I recently reviewed, which are around a sort of £100 and also boast many of the same features. Not quite as good in the ANC and the audio front, but leave you with lots more beer money, which is the main thing. Next up, Crazy Chris. Sorry, no idea why I did it in that voice. Crazy Chris says, I can't remember hearing you saying shenanigans in this episode. I could be wrong. If I didn't say shenanigans for an entire episode, well, frankly, I'm shocked as well. And also that would have really royally f***ed up the TechSpurt drinking game. For any newcomers, this basically involves doing a shot whenever one of these things right here happens during the episode, and basically have you mullered in about 5 minutes flat. Next up, Jed Bullet says, Uncle Spurt and lads and lasses, I've only got 1 kidney left after the Fold 3. So what other redundant body parts can we harvest for funds for so many bloody beautiful and improved foldables? Well, the problem is that redundant ones won't fetch you any cash, so what you want is something you can live without that's still actually worth something, like an eye or a bollock or something. SJSTU says, could you imagine how many Gen Zs would have sticky pants if those funny feet ice lollies were still around? So this is again the subject of foot fetishes, which are apparently a big thing again these days. Yeah, I used to love those foot ice lolly things, not really sure why. Bit of a skanky idea for an ice cream when you think about it. But yeah, a lot of these youngins would probably be adding their own special glaze, I guess. And also, have you actually watched a foot job video on the likes of Pornhub? They look like the most uncomfortable, awful thing in the world. Like, you've got hands, just use them, surely. It'd be like someone trying to cook using only their face. And again, to anyone who actually clicked on this video expecting tech content, I can only apologise. Cedric Cottage says, you're the first person mentioning to me that TikTwat platform who actually has me intrigued to check it out. Not just sure whether I'm ready for this step in our relationship yet, seeing your drunk dance moves. I can assure you there is absolutely zero video evidence online of me ever having danced in my entire existence, at least I bloody hope that's the case. That's one of the benefits of being an old git, is at least social media wasn't a thing when I was at school and going to nightclubs and stuff. Jesse Boy says, Chris, when you say love you in the end of the video, do you actually mean it? Mate, I mean it as much as I do every other time I say it when I've had a few pints. Croby says, One Piece is so good I would totally go to jail just to have enough time to read it again. That seems a wee bit extreme, and also I'm not entirely sure how well stocked the anime section of prison libraries is. But I did get a subscription to the Shonen Jump so I can read a bit of One Piece after hearing a lot of you guys recommending it, and of course it works well on these big bloody fold out phones. So I'm to get through a good chunk of it on holiday. I'm on chapter 2 at the moment, chapter 2 of about 20 billion. Etienne Shop says there's a live action One Piece coming to Netflix next month if that's more time friendly. Mind you, considering what they did to Cowboy Bebop, maybe not. Now, I was cautiously optimistic for Cowboy Bebop, and I thought it started off pretty well, then just kind of fell apart. Frankly, just do not even attempt to remake perfection, it's just not going to work out well. The Death Note one was pretty ropey as well, I seem to recall, and considering how massive the One Piece back catalogue is now, I'm not really sure how much of a dent in it this Netflix thing is going to make. It's probably going to cover a few chapters at best. Either that or just cut out huge bloody chunks of the story so it makes absolutely sod all sense. Dorkforge says, enjoyed the show as always, but you've done yourself in asking for recommendations. I dare you to watch Banana Fish, short enough to get through in a timely fashion and enough for you to bang on about in a vaguely Vietnam flashback fashion too. Banana Fish sounds like just my kind of weird, kind of similar to Dog Scissors, I'm hoping, which is possibly the most mental thing I've ever stared at. I can't see Banana Fish on Crunchyroll, unfortunately. There's something called Bananya, whatever that is. It literally looks like cats living inside of banana peels. I mean, I need to get that in my life right now. Mythic Suns says, I'm just barely getting through Bleach, which currently feels like a rather overrated anime if I'm honest. Yeah, I've tried to get into that impenetrable mate, I just could not be bothered. I'm on the first few episodes of season 14. Me, you've made it quite far then. And while the show definitely has some great moments and even quite a few interesting ideas, a lot of it just feels like filler. It feels like the studio is contractually obligated to make a large number of episodes even though there's not enough story to last it that long. And that is always a worry, is that a lot of the creators of these manga and the animes probably didn't realise quite how popular they were going to be, and so they'd maybe plan for 3 or 4 seasons or, you know, a couple of dozen volumes at best. And now they're on like volume 1216 and they're just pulling plot lines right out of their arsehole. Amamana asking, any suggestions on what to watch being a noob? Well, Neon Genesis was what got me into anime in the first place, so I'd highly recommend that one. As long as you don't mind lots and lots of teen angst and one particularly questionable scene where a lad wanks off over the unconscious body of his teammate, it's all good. And then naturally Cowboy Bebop and Death Note and all the classic stuff, you can't go wrong. Really running out of time, so better make these last couple of comments. Sandeteur says, was totally unimpressed at the boiled, baked, partially microwaved efforts from a pret-a-manger in Manchester. Buttons, pasties and pies with gravy and chips is the call of the day. Word to your moms. And Droid1 Appmaker says, it's about time to bring back the old next week jingle for a cameo. Well, just call me Genie Spurt because your wish is my command. Next week, what the f is next week? And speaking about making people's wishes come true, there's actually not going to be a TechSpurt Weekly for at least a week or two, as I am buggering off to basically get boozed up on a beach. And by that I obviously mean pass out straight away in the sun and end up coming back looking just like Dr. Zoidberg. But do not go topping yourself, the 6 or 7 people who possibly actually enjoy this show. Lots of hot content still going live on TechSpurt while I'm away, including finally my Pixel Fold review, which I have shot, I just need to finish putting the bugger together. Lots of other hot juicy content which I won't spoil just yet. And please do slap your comments down below and we will get our way through as many of those as possible whenever the show returns. And now finally it's time for the part of the show where I shut off the camera and go actually get some bloody sleep for the first time in about 36 hours, except no, I've got to edit this video, haven't I? Just remembered that. Balls.